Good evening. The time is now 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you could all please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Tom Sinkwitz. Here. Gary Stalboyne.
Here.
Don Davila.
Here.
Dean Norman. Adrian Ferrari. Here. Linda Fedor.
Here.
Ted Demain did not reach out to me. Keith Shea did not reach out to me. What's that? With Ted's absence, I'd like to extend voting privileges for the evening to Linda Fedor. You accept?
Yes, I do.
All right, the first item on our agenda is the acceptance of the minutes from August 16th. Are there any questions or corrections that need to be relayed? If there are no questions or corrections, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from August 13th. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the amended minutes from August 16th.
Where would be amended? Oh, that's right. We did amend it. Thank you. We amended them on, we made a couple of typographical corrections. So we have a motion to accept the amended minutes from August 16th, made by Linda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Motion has been made by Linda and seconded by Don. All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Aye. One abstention. Motion passes. Carries. Under old business, first item is the acceptance of the minutes from April 5th. In reviewing some notes, that night, those minutes were actually tabled on 4/12, but on our 4/19 meeting, they were actually accepted and approved at that time. So there's nothing we need to do with that particular item. The second item is the acceptance of the minutes from the May 30th meeting. That was actually tabled on the 21st, so we need to make a
And it was tabled because I believe at the meeting times.
right.
Wrong.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I will make a motion to accept.
Okay, I'll second. All right, we have a motion to accept the minutes for May 30th, made by Don, seconded by Adrian. Are there any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor of accepting the minutes from May 30th, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, that motion carries. I would like to interject just briefly that for our next meeting, under old business, we will need to review and accept the meetings for the special meeting on June 29th. So I would recommend that everybody take advantage of looking at the municipal calendar and reviewing those notes from that meeting so that we can put that on our agenda for next meeting. The next item on our new business is a review of the Board of Education agenda financial report. We have John with us tonight to answer any questions that you might have. The first question I have is on page 2. We have an unaudited value of $11,683.47. Do you have an anticipated date of when that number is going to be actually finalized with audit?
Well, we'll send it forward as soon as the auditors, but they need to take a look at that. That number wiggles a little bit, but it's about $10,000 to $12,000 is where it's been settling in. And I have 18 purchase orders, and I was just talking with Kelly, I'm going to try to see what we can resolve for that so that we can get it closer to the number, but this number still could be a little bit. We're still waiting on full delivery on things that we ordered in late June. It's been 90 days. I'm trying to do the best that I can to get the secretaries to get those invoices in, but they're interested in what's for the new school year, so we're struggling a bit to finish it up. But that number is
But it's pretty much a ballpark number.
yes, I would say that's
You don't
the
see
same.
any major variation.
Correct. The other thing I wanted to point out is these are, I've got the new budget in here. That's the replacement from what we saw all of the time that I've been here since January for last year. So that's new in case you look at it. I said, I don't think this is the same as last time. It's not, it's 23, 24. But in the general ledger section, pages 6 and 7. 6 is the first look at this year, and 7 is where that 11,000 is in the lower right corner. That's the most recent view as of end of August, essentially. It's dated 9/5, but it's end of August for 22, 23. So I just want to be careful because this is a time when we're making the shift from one budget year to another. We want to close one out and we want to start looking at the new budget year. So in terms of concerns, we still will have concerns with substitutes if we don't have them yet, but that's something that we need to watch. Fuel is just atrocious, not as bad as it was a year ago. It's really spiked up, but I don't think I've seen the arrow flip over to decreasing. It's sort of run flat, but if anything, a little bit of an increase, and especially on our side for the diesel price, that's a number that we watch quite a bit. We'll also be watching the transportation necessary for special ed students. We have a wheelchair-bound student in this. It's not living in Plainfield, so there are things that we just need to keep an eye on, and we're trying to do our best to do so. So with that, I will see if you have other questions, but I just wanted to make that point. I guess the last point would be I've shown the grants information, but it's primitive at best because the state is woefully slow in approving grants that we need to. I guess we shouldn't say we need it. We appreciate the fact that grants help us to do certain things to supplement the funds that you provide us to do the educational needs for the town. And in particular, there are salaries within those grants. Without the grants being approved, we target the monies as we want to have them assessed. And an example is the Title I grant, which is close to $500,000+. We're probably $30,000 up against that already. And I say work with us, and Kelly's been kind enough to cover us with the fund balance until we get the request to the state. And in the case of Title I, they're not even accepting requests for funding yet because they have not approved it at the dollar amount. And here we are on the 20th of September. In case they hadn't noticed, school began on August 27th. So we're doing what we can, crabbing to the state, but the state really doesn't listen too much to the business manager from Plainfield. But I'll tell you that he might be a small dog, but he barks.
I do have a couple other quick questions, and I don't know if you have the ability to answer them. We haven't seen a status report of projects that are utilizing 2% set aside. Is it possible to have one of those for our next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So we can see a progress.
Yeah, I will say that we did some projects that were on the list for Musa. The doors at the cafeteria are completed and the fire alarm has been replaced, but there were other open items and
Right.
enough money that it's worth taking a look at where we stand. I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you. All right, are there any other questions?
How are we doing with the money that we approved the other month for the survey of the school?
How's the facility study going?
Yeah.
Okay, the superintendent is currently at a parent and student feedback session. Last night they did community input from, I think from 6:30 to 8:30. So he may be able to join us shortly, but so we're doing that input side. And the consultant has been present at 4 of the 6 buildings. They'll finish up next week doing the evaluation and inspection of the buildings to do the hard numbers on what would it look like to keep those buildings operating for another 20 years. So I'd say that the facility study is moving forward, and but we won't have results until probably the beginning of December.
All right, do we have any other questions? All right, now I'll look for a motion to accept the financial presentation, this Board of Education financial report. So moved. We have a motion to accept the presentation of the Board of Education financial report made by Tom. Do I have a second? Seconded by Gary. Are there any other questions or comments regarding this report? All right, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? All right, motion carries. Thank you for being here tonight, gentlemen. All right, on to the presentation of the town's financial report. Do we have any questions for either the selectman or the finance manager on page 1?
On page 1, everything looks kind of normal so far. My question, my rental on the swimming pool, we've got that much money already?
Yeah, that's only for the month of July. We didn't post yet August. We are going to post August probably tomorrow. And that's
For the month of July?
yeah, in 1 month, July.
Okay.
Yep. There's swimming classes downstairs now. I guess they're pretty full.
Throughout the week, they have actually 117 different classes throughout the, I should say the week, the month. 117 classes is quite a bit, and they've been filling up.
Open swim is like 30 plus, I want to say people.
117 a month.
That's how many classes he has available.
Any other questions on page 1? Move on to page 2. Under the tax collector, I'm assuming that that number is what we generally spend for the year, and we expended it?
What
On the
line?
computer tax, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. She pays, majority of the departments pay for their software in the beginning of July.
So is that what happened with tax collector, assessor, and finance?
Yep, they're all due in July.
All right, any other questions on page 2? Let's move on to page 3. Questions here? Page 4. Do you have any questions there?
We have nobody from the police, right?
No, but I met with the chief today, so if there's questions, I might be able to answer some.
Oh, I mean, I'm just saying, so like training is already have gone, so do they have an officer?
They have an officer in the academy right now. That may be one item where they may need additional funding later in the year, but it's unpredictable.
For the training
For the
or
training.
for the education part?
Education is a similar situation, but it doesn't feel like that's going to be an issue.
So the education part, just so you guys know, that's their payout. So at the beginning of July is their education payout. So if you have a bachelor's degree, you get so
got
much,
it.
if you have a master's. So
Yep.
that's what that represents. So you won't need any
So
more.
that number is pretty much, the 400 is pretty much fixed for the remainder.
Yeah, so that's a set number.
Any other questions? All right, let's move on to page 5.
Is there a, is there a payout on pension like right away in July as well?
Yeah. So our cash flow is short in the pension fund, so I have to send money over. Instead of them taking out of investment funds, you want to, take the money out of the cash.
What is the status under economic development, salary, economic development commission / grant? Is that position filled? Is that money being used for something else? Or?
So we just had a person who left us, and we have been doing an internal search first. We also will be doing an external search, so it has not been filled at this point. So at this point, that'll be stagnant for a couple of weeks. We're hoping to find someone soon, and then have them come in to start to do some training.
Any other questions on page 5? 6.
Do you need more funds for the engineering firm, or is that?
I can speak to that briefly. I anticipate that we will be looking to recoup the entire amount of money that's there. We had a group from NECOG who was doing our engineering services, and I've released their contract. Wasn't happy with what they did, and I'll be talking to Mr. Filipchek about recouping that money.
We're all done with fireworks, pretty good, right?
I hope. Would you like some more for how much was left? $3.33, I think, is left.
Huh?
Oh, no,
Looks like
$400.
$400.
Can you get some sparklers?
We're done in that category.
What's the Department of Health purchase services?
What is it? Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, we have a requirement to have service for the Department of Health. They do inspections for if you're putting septic in, or if you're doing other things that are required by the Department of Health, inspections for hairdressers, inspections for food service, for different facilities around the town. They are required to do those inspections to get their certifications on them. So that is a required item. You'll note that if you remember from last year, we had a big problem last year because without our knowledge, they upped the increase of like 40-something% from the previous year, and they didn't tell us. They're supposed to notify us before December 31st, so we have the option to opt out and go to another group. We could have gone to CCOG in that case, and I did try to do that after the fact, but they wouldn't allow us to go. So the issue is, that's what the number they gave us at. There's still some issues in the health district right now. I know that there was some employment issues there currently, and they're trying to talk that through because they're actually trying to downgrade their costs. So they're releasing some employees as we speak. But that's the number we have, and that's what it does.
So we're at 49.66 left, even though we're a month or so in because
Pay
it's
twice a year.
We only pay twice a year.
twice a year.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
and it's based on our population.
Oh, okay.
That's how
I
it's
didn't know
created.
per.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, it's based on our population. Yep.
And for any of these types of questions, if you have a concern about, you see the numbers ahead of time, if you want to talk to me about that, I can explain, step by step what they are, so that, you at least understand it. And Kelly can help too, because like we do sometimes quarterly payments based on certain services we do. Sometimes it's once a year, sometimes it's, twice.
Are you still looking to checking out?
Oh, absolutely.
Common budget, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Not happy with the Northeast District Department of Health at all. I think that every town around us is having the same issue. How do they service everybody when they only have a few staff? And that is a problem. So if you're going into an establishment that should have been serviced, you take a look at their certification on the wall, and it's outdated by about a year or two, I have no control over that. It should be their hiring practices and helping staff get trained to go out there and do the job. And they have the same amount of staff, by the way, that CCOG has. But CCOG is covering quite a bit more space, including Norwich. And they have no problem. So I'm not sure what the real issue is, underlying issue, but I'm going to be looking to go out to CCOG.
Any other questions on page 6? Move on to page 7.
Page 7, town reevaluation. What do we have any plans for that 86 cents?
Do you have a suggestion?
Not at the moment.
Sparklers,
Yeah, by a sparkler.
On this page, I wanted to let you guys know, I added an appropriation. You can see down the bottom, it says appropriations. So this is whenever we have a meeting in the fiscal year, you can see, like the telephone for the capital, we appropriated 15,000. So you can see that now. And then it was, I want to say last year, we did the Dow Road. So you'll be using that Dow Road.
Now, what we're running for the percent?
Now, I can tell you when the audit's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give us a ballpark?
But, you know,
But look at the camera when you do.
We're good. I'll say that.
They're about ready to start the audit, probably?
Yes, Monday.
Oh,
Monday.
If everything goes well, it should be, right?
Yeah.
December?
December usually.
Yeah,
We
that's our
approve in
goal.
December.
The auditor and us is mid-December to be able to present.
Any other questions on page 7? Questions on page 8? If there are no further questions, I will entertain the motion that we accept the financial report as presented.
I'll move.
All right, we have a motion to accept the financial report as accepted made by Don. Do I have a second? We don't have a second. Are there any?
No, I was just wondering, maybe I just don't understand it properly, but what is the net surplus deficit?
That would be your revenue, all your revenue minus your expenditures, the difference. So right now, you have your total expenditures, 50.6 million, that's the budget part. But it's the difference between your revenue collected and your expenditures. And don't forget, the expenditures are more because of the appropriations.
We still have a motion on the floor.
Yes, I know. I was waiting.
Second.
All right. So we have a motion on the floor to accept the financial report as presented, made by Don, seconded by both Adrian and Linda. Do we have any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? All right, that motion carries. At this time, I will open up the floor to citizens' participation. If there's anybody that has any questions or comments that they would like to bring forth, I would ask that you just state your name, whether or not you're a resident of the town of Plainfield. And we have an issue with the microphone, so if you would just speak loudly, I would appreciate it. So is there anybody that would like to make comment at this time?
Hi, Naomi Smith. I just actually have a question.
Yep.
Kelly, could you clarify something? She stated earlier, with the police contracts, so it's based on their education, their raises, or their salaries?
It's like a
Clarify that.
stipend. Yeah, it's like a stipend, it's an union contract, and depending on what education you have, you get like $100 stipend, $200 stipend, or $300, just examples, depending on what level of education you have.
Is that,
It's in the union contract.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments or thoughts to bring forward? If not, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
We have a motion to adjourn made by Adrian. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Gary. We have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Opposed? All right. Thank you all for coming out tonight.